Hi everyone, welcome back to Active Self-Protection Extra, here with the CEO of ASP, Stephanie Widener. The funny part is occasionally people assume that we're husband and wife. No, her husband's one of my very best friends and my wife's one of her very best friends. And I want to talk to you today. I have not primed her on these questions. It's questions for the CEO. And today's question is, what's it like being the CEO of a company in the firearms industry as a woman? Many thanks to MagTech Ammunition for sponsoring today's video. It's the only ammunition that goes through my pistols or rifles and is the best stuff on the range. Oh, let's hurt some feels. Let's hurt the feels, shall we? Yep. So I've said this 100 times that it's tough. The firearms industry is full of judgy people, and right. I think many good people, right? So right. Tons of good people, but also like any other industry, there's 90% of people are great. 5% of people you don't want in your life, and 5% of people are raging buttholes. And that's pretty much people. Mm-hmm. But there's pressure on women in the shooting industry that I think there isn't in maybe many other industries. Right. And so what's your experience been?
Overall, I would say reasonably positive, because I think what makes a difference for me, so I have my experience, but I also have the experience of a lot of my friends who are different people in different levels in the industry. So I sometimes hear a different experience from them than I actually experience myself. I think some of the reason I get buffered from some of that is because I am a valued and supported team member of our team here. I am not, you're all very supportive of what I do and who I am in the company. So whenever anybody is wondering about that, you guys all back that up. There's always a lot of little things that are...
Go ahead, say something mean. I dare you, I'll ban you so fast it'll make your head spin.
So, yeah, especially when I'm working with my husband and my best friends and everything, I feel like I'm in a very supported community, a very safe space. It's easy for me to step out knowing that I have people that have my back. It's not a culture where if I make a mistake, if I do something wrong, if I misstep, I'm, going to be banished and shunned, and there's going to be a big problem. So I have that space that I can do that. On the other hand, there's a lot of expectation about me needing to run things by you, or people trying to go around me to you to get different things done, referring to me by the wrong names or adding Mr. Bro, Sir to a lot of, which is funny. It doesn't really...
So to me, one of the funny things is that her email, okay, so I broadcasted to the internet, is Steph, right? And so I think because of Steph Curry on the Golden State Warriors, a lot of people assume that you're a man.
Right, yeah.
And then when they find out you're a woman, they change the way they treat you.
Yes.
That drives me nuts.
Yeah, we've seen that so clearly, because before I was in this role, I was helping you a lot more with the social media piece. So very often if people just contacted Active Self-Protection randomly, it was actually me they were talking to.
Many times.
So there was a huge assumption that if it wasn't you, that it was a man of some kind. So, bro, sir, I'm so happy to get your perspective on this, John, and all of this.
Which I think is maybe natural, you know what I mean? I'm the face of the franchise.
Yep, and it did shift. At first it was assuming we were talking to John because of who you are and your face of the franchise. Then it was some man on John's team. Definitely could never be a woman, although our female staff at Active Self-Protection it's not quite half, but it's what, 40% maybe? 5
out of the 12 total staff at Active Self-Protection are women.
Your odds are just as good to get a woman if you're dealing with anybody here. So that's more, like you say, I think it's a natural inclination, and it doesn't insult me or bother me. But I do think it's funny that if you're in the firearms industry and you're anonymous, you're somehow a man for certain. And maybe that's not a bad guess, I suppose.
I mean, I suppose, I don't know what the statistics are in terms of who's working in the industry or whatever. But I do think that a couple things that I see is that people treat Stephanie in a way that they would never treat me. And that pisses me off to the end of the world when you go, wait a minute. First of all, A, I have a mother. B, I have a wife. C, I have 3 daughters. And to think that people are treating them poorly because of their reproductive organs makes me real mad. Number 2, I think the thing that I never have to deal with, okay? So let's be kind, we're all adults here, right? So if your children are listening, put your headphones in, is that I've never had anybody send me a dick pic.
No, it's true.
And first of all, guys, that's gross. Why in the world would you send unsolicited pictures of your genitals to somebody? That's, just ridiculous. But I know so many women in the industry, it's an all the time thing.
For sure. And, and honestly, part of me is like, why do they do it? That's such a poor strategy for anything that you're trying to do. And the reason they do it is because there's maybe a 1 in a million chance you get a
might work.
response from someone. And so you don't mind the 999,999 other women that you upset or frustrated or made scared, depending on the level of contact. Their feelings, and it didn't matter. What mattered was what you wanted right now. But that's maybe a whole nother
That's a whole nother kettle of fish.
But yeah, don't do it.
I do think I would love to get your thoughts. So once we're in the industry, right? So we go to SHOT Show every year, and we go to the NRA annual meetings and those kinds of things. Do you feel like that you get the respect in the industry that the CEO of Active Self-Protection would expect?
It's evolving, certainly. It's getting better, but no, probably not. I mean, we've gone to like SHOT as a benchmark for several years. I think it's getting more obvious who I am and what I do for the company, so it's a little more obvious to the people that we're talking about. Before it was obvious the level of influence or that I had over the company, I was very often ignored or treated poorly by a lot of people, which was an unfortunate decision for a lot of them because I, behind the scenes, did have a lot of influence and of direction of what the company went. So I think it's getting better. Unfortunately, I only think it's getting better because people are becoming more knowledgeable of the fact that I can do something for them.
That's a terrible thing. Human beings are terrible that way, right? Well, she can get me something, so I'll treat her nice. And I think that is anybody. I will say this, that, industry-wide, right, is an interesting thing that there are a number of women who are leading significant companies in the industry now.
Yes.
And that's a very good thing. And it's 2020. Girls can do stuff, right? I mean, it's not like that's not the case. And in particular in the shooting sports, I do think probably some of that is there's this toxic and yet very intoxicating brew of good-looking women and guns. And so dudes like looking at naked women, and dudes love looking at guns, and so there's this big pull, and a woman who does not appropriate that or doesn't use that can really get passed by. But I think we're starting to see a change in that.
I hope we are. What I think probably one of the real tragedies there is so many of the adult women that I know that have come into learning how to shoot and more defensive-minded activities. They come because they're coming from a place of victimization on some level. Either something could have happened and it scared them enough. I mean, that's why I'm here, to learn. Something happened that really woke me from where my happy conscious denial level was, and now I'm learning this. And so I think it's unfortunate because they come at kind of this vulnerable time, and you see it as well as I do. There's still predation in the firearms industry as much as there is in any other industry, and it's a little bit heartbreaking to see women come at a vulnerable time in their lives and be shifted or taken advantage of or any of those things. And they're adult women, but on the other hand,
and I do think we're seeing some women who are really changing that. I think you're definitely one of them, and big in there. I think of women like Julie Golub.
Absolutely.
I think is one that comes to mind immediately. Sat on the NRA board of directors for a while. Obviously won gold at the World Shoot and a bajillion-time national champion. Women like Lena Michalek, like Jessie Duff. In that little bitty part. I think plenty of women in the self-defense world that are starting to come out. I think of somebody who's here from Phoenix, Mackenzie Dern, who is a UFC fighter and a jiu-jitsu champion. And again, that doesn't mean you can't be feminine. That doesn't mean that you can't embrace womanhood, but that they're starting to be respected for who they are in the industry.
Right.
So my call to all of us is let's not look at somebody's reproductive organs as a means for their competence, right? Let's treat people with respect and kindness. And my call to all of you is if you message Active Self-Protection and you treat people differently based on who's on the line with you, that tells me something about your character, friends. So let's treat each other with respect. Appreciate you.